I know that tariffs are certainly a powerful and a positive tool that can be used, but they need to be used strategically. They need to be used thoughtfully. And that's why I called for 100% tariffs on Chinese vehicles last year, and why I'm going to continue to fight for aggressive trade policy when it comes to our relations with China. As a senator from Michigan, I'm particularly focused on manufacturing. We know how to make things in Michigan. And I don't think you can be a great country if you don't actually make things, and that's what we do in my state. And I want to work with the administration to make sure we're growing that sector as well as creating good-paying jobs that result from manufacturing. However, I am concerned that President Trump's plan to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico before the rest of the world, in fact, it could be in a matter of days, is what we are hearing, could hurt our manufacturers who do considerable trade back and forth, as we discussed in the office. Michigan is the home of the top three border crossings in North America. We're two of them. And a lot of that are auto parts that go back and forth. It's a highly integrated industry, and our auto companies are very concerned about what those tariffs might mean to cost, particularly to the cost of vehicles. Already, something we discussed, I'm concerned about the high cost of vehicles. Many families can't afford them now. And if tariffs are put in place that deal with that seamless trade that goes on with Canada, that in the short run could definitely have an impact on prices and make cars even more unaffordable. I don't think that's something the American people want to see, and I'm afraid it would hurt consumers as well as also hurt those workers. So my question for you, sir, is talk me through how those tariffs would be implemented, what you're thinking will happen there, and how it's going to have an impact on prices, particularly in the short term. I know where you're going to go on the long term, but all this stuff takes time, and especially when it comes to manufacturing, it's not an industry that can turn on a dime. It's much more complicated, as I know you know.
So the big tariff view is going to be studied, and the president launched that in an executive order where he asked the Commerce Department and the USTR to study the tariff model long term. The short term issue is illegal migration and, worse even still, fentanyl coming into this country and killing over 100,000 Americans. There's no war we could have that would kill 100,000 Americans. The president is focused on ending fentanyl coming into the country. You know that the labs in Canada are run by Mexican cartels. So this tariff model is simply to shut their borders with respect America. If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border, and end fentanyl coming into this country. So it is not a tariff per se. It is an action of domestic policy. Shut your border and stop allowing fentanyl into our country, killing our people. So this is a separate tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. And as far as I know, they are acting swiftly. And if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be. But it's an action-oriented model. That's not the ordinary tariff. The ordinary tariffs need to be studied and examined, and that will start, as the EO said, in April.
So that's a separate tariff.
Correct.
After that study, what would be the timeline of that?
I think that's sort of in April. Those studies will come out in the end of March and April, and then you'll hear about those at that time. So big macro issues with tariff are being studied, but the micro issue is Canada and Mexico and the precursors from China. They need to end, and we need to protect our Americans from fentanyl. And our trading partners in Canada and Mexico, they should end it and stop disrespecting us and allowing this come through our borders.
Well, I think we all agree on secure borders. I'm with you all the way. Being a northern border state, the ranking member on Homeland Security, we want to do that. My concern, though, is what's going to happen in the April timeframe as to what could that mean in terms of increased costs to Americans, if not properly implemented or properly thought through. What sort of assurances can you give us that we will not see that when that second set of tariffs get implemented, or if they get implemented, but it sounds as if that's your plan?
Well, we are going to study those the actions and the economy of America and how it works. But if you think about it, we need to grow domestic manufacturing. As you said, Michigan is one of the great places where we build things. And the car manufacturing went to Canada, it went to Mexico. It is important that that come back to Michigan and come back to Ohio and come back to the great states of America that can build. And so I think a thoughtful tariff policy that drives domestic manufacturing, I think, is fundamental to the American workers, especially to the workers in Michigan.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.